The Arc Dog, aka the Zap Dog, is the real winner for me in the new Force of Law Warbond. This arc-powered canine really surprised me in how effectively it can perform in the right loadout combinations. It fires an arc bolt intermittently at around every 5 to 6 seconds, not only doing impressive damage either via one-shotting most factions' smaller enemies or taking large chunks of health out of larger ones, and even having the ability to finish off units such as Hulks and Chargers. More on that in a moment, folks. Just be wary of the occasional accidental friendly bite. Where this stratagem truly shines is against the Terminids, and that is for the exact same reason the Blitzer shotgun excels. It is exactly why you should be considering this as part of your loadout. It chains arc bolts between clusters of enemies, one-shotting most of those, and those that it doesn't kill in one, it stuns temporarily. If you've got a large swarm composed of hunters, warriors, and hive guards pushing you, the Zap Dog makes an excellent partner in crime, taking out chunks of the swarm every 5 to 6 seconds. There does seem to be something going on with the AI though. It can often just seem like it ignores alpha commanders and prioritizes smaller targets, and I'm not sure at this point if that is intended. It also spent the odd occasion just looking in the wrong direction, ignoring enemies, which can be frustrating. I think that was a target lock-on issue, but either way, I'm sure this will be something that gets amended. I tried this weapon in a loadout with the new Pacifier rifle, which has a few problems of its own, which I'll be going over in the next section, and it did perform okay, but I decided to take it for a spin in a couple of fully considered loadouts, and oh my word, this thing claps. Inevitably, I needed to pair this with the Blitzer because who wouldn't want to have a full arc loadout, and unsurprisingly, the performance was absolutely fantastic. A constant volley of arc damage being hurled into the mix really cripples the Terminid breaches and large swarm advances. Throw in some gas or fire grenades and you are absolutely golden, and I'm not even going to talk about how good it is with support weapons thrown in, but I'm sure you can imagine. Speaking of fire, I can also tell you that this pairs superbly with the cookout shotgun with its ability to rapid fire, apply fire, spread fire, and of course knockback, just like the Arc Dog does, so they work superbly together. I'm sure the same will be the case for the Breaker Incendiary. Give these a go and let me know what you think, folks. I was also really impressed by its performance against the bots, and this really surprised me. It wipes the floor with regular trash mobs very quickly, which is a welcome choice to have at our disposal, and you can zap down Striders quickly, and perhaps most importantly, it can stun groups of Berserker advances really well. It chains between them and does excellent damage in the process. 2 to 3 zaps seems to take them down, and while you're playing this in a real scenario, your firepower combined with this takes them down very nicely. It also does decent damage to Devastators, but I also found the same issue I was having with Alpha Commanders. Sometimes it just doesn't seem interested in them, and sometimes it does. It's a bit inconsistent with attacking larger infantry units, it seems, so be sure to focus fire those down and don't rely on the Zap Dog. I also had experiences where the Zap Dog was attacking Hulks and in some cases destroying them for me. This was really nice. Much like the Terminids, I couldn't help myself and had to take some weapons I like to use against the bots to test the combo potential, and again, it was absolutely cracked. Using it with the plasma shotgun means you just have a fantastic amount of CC potential, staggering everything around you really well. Give it a try, folks. Against the Illuminates, I wasn't as impressed. It felt much weaker. Voteless didn't go down quickly with it. Sometimes I was experiencing 2 shots rather than 1 for trash mobs, which was a massive put off for me, and much like the bots and the bugs, it seemed to be very selective when attacking flesh mobs and overseers. I'm wondering if there is an intentional hierarchy of which target will be attacked first. I'm not sure. Maybe you know, folks. Sound off in the comments below. This was definitely the only faction I couldn't see myself running this stratagem with. Next up, the AR-32 Pacifier Assault Rifle, which boasts of 50 damage per round and a fire rate of 700. A fairly solid base, I'm sure you'll agree, but where things start to unravel is when we look at ammo capacity and how stun is currently working in the game. More on that in a moment. The ammo is not up to scratch in my opinion. 40 bullets does not feel like enough, and I was disappointed to see no increased mag capacity in the customization. However, the headline of this weapon is of course its stun functionality. Well, at least it should be. Stun functionality is a bit wonky at the moment, folks, in that if you dive solo, you are getting the true experience of how stun should be working within the game. It takes a number of shots to stun targets, ranging from I think 2 to 5 in some instances. I still can't put a finger on exactly how it is working working as a mechanic. Maybe someone's got a deeper knowledge of this and you can let us know in the comments, but this feels absolutely terrible. However, if you drop in with a squad, this changes dramatically. I've been informed that this is in fact a glitch. I was in a run before, one-tapping absolutely everything in the game, from alpha commanders to charges with my shots. They were all stunned in one shot, and this felt honestly a lot better, and I think that this weapon should be tuned around that. I did only test this on Terminids, but I'm sure it's the same against other factions. Just be aware of this when you're diving, folks. With that being said, this weapon has got some potential. It felt good against bugs if you're leaning into a full stun style setup. Think Zap Dog gas grenades or the new Urchin Grenade. More on that in a moment, folks. It makes short work of smaller Terminid threats with ease. Warriors, hunters, hive guards go down fine, and the medium pen is helpful here, of course. However, it does take around an entire mag to take out alpha commanders, which is where I started to fall out with this weapon. If it had the ability to grab a drum mag, this would alleviate the issue somewhat, and we would be left with a bit of spillover to deal with other targets as well. It's cool to use against stalkers, as stunning them is always incredibly satisfying. It can drop shriekers and do very mid damage to weak points on larger targets, and whilst I do enjoy playing this due to the stun, it does just leave much to be desired, and I would likely not choose to run this weapon against bugs in its current state. Played against bots, it's more of the same story. Its performance against the key players such as Devastators and Berserkers is definitely very undesirable in my opinion, and I would have appreciated the stun working against Devastators more effectively. Maybe that is something that is going to be looked into and changed. I certainly hope it is. One thing I will say is that perhaps a better scope might alleviate some of the issues, and maybe try using this as a marksman rifle with the approach you might take with the Diligence, trying to tap headshots, and this would be really nice. Getting stuns off in the process with missed shots might make it a bit more attractive, but I'm really clutching at straws there if I'm honest. I also tried taking down gunships with this, but the number of mags I had to dump into an engine was just not a sustainable approach. I feel like this AR is an exciting prospect, but it just needs a bit of tuning around its stun and the ammo economy. I would probably not choose this over another weapon if I'm totally honest, folks. Against the squids, I was left feeling the same as I did against bots. It just doesn't feel good against them at all. With stunning being ineffective against units that press us, and the slow time to kill on overseers, flesh mobs and such like, it just doesn't have the same allure perhaps the Scorcher or the Eruptor would have. I also tried mag dumping into Stingrays, and I think I counted around 4 to 5 full mags to take it down. It's just not a viable choice, unfortunately, and it could be nice to use in combination with things like the AMR or the laser cannon to perhaps complement its fire rate and the fact Illuminate. Hate a lot of bullets, but I was just thinking of a list of primaries that I'd rather be playing the whole time, so that's not a very good sign, is it? And whilst it's not the worst addition to the game, I do feel that this AR needs another pass from the devs to improve its overall usability. With that being said, I'm hopeful. I feel like this weapon could be harnessed in a really effective way. The De-escalator. Now, this one was really fun to use against all three factions, though I do think it has a couple of major drawbacks. Essentially, it's an arc grenade launcher using the center point of the impact of the projectile to create a large arc AoE that will zap everything around it. If you hit targets directly, it treats them like a conduit and zaps everything around it. It's really good fun, and it can be very effective if you're landing your shots on targets such as hulks in crowded areas or alpha commanders surrounded by a large swarm. It also stuns targets for a very short period of time, which is great, and it works best when you spam into crowds, and you can actually be quite devastating. However, it is a bit inconsistent. Sometimes shots just don't seem to land where you aim. But with that being said, the spammability of this weapon and it being effective does reveal one of the major drawbacks. It just feels like it's about 2 to 3 shots short per reload, and this is really further compounded by the painfully long reload animation. Oh my word, this takes far too long, so I feel like either shortening this, increasing the round capacity, or perhaps even both, please Arrowhead, would make this a lot better. I've found it really useful against hulks in particular, because once you've lined your shots up, you can just spam the eye and often get the takedown, and then when the enemies are surrounding it, you can do some devastating stuff. Really nice. A huge miss in my opinion is the fact it cannot close bug holes, destroy fabs or UFOs. This really needs changing in my opinion. flying, and you can also spam down chargers and impalers to a lesser extent, but I'm afraid the same can't be said for Titans, which is another frustration. It's very fun to play when you're using a full arc loadout, but I don't know if I could see myself maining this. It would be quite fun to lark around with, and I will in the coming days, but that's about it, folks. The Warrant Pistol is an interesting weapon. 80 damage, 13 shots, medium pen, and a choice of guided bursts or unguided semi-automatic play. The guided shots are the most interesting aspect of this weapon to me, and it locks on much like a spear shot. Its best uses are against flyers such as Shriekers and Watchers, but there seems to be a theme with this Warbond. There are some inconsistencies. Just take a look at how this performs against Shriekers. The momentum of the shot seems to carry the bullet too quickly past targets, so it loses its lock-on. Very frustrating. I was excited to try this against gunships, but unfortunately we don't get any lock-ons here, which is a massive shame. The same is the case against larger threats like Alpha Commanders and Flesh Mobs. I actually think that this is best played in unguided mode, unless you're really focusing on sniping certain units, but to me that just feels like it's very inefficient and not a very rewarding style of play. You are better off just spamming this freely. The Urchin Grenade attaches itself to whatever it is thrown at and pulses arc shocks, which shock the target and a small AoE around it. This works against most units and is particularly effective dealing with chargers, hulks and flesh mobs. It puts them in place. Its lengthy stun allows you to position yourself and target weak spots, which is very helpful. It's also great if you throw in the center of bug breaches as the enemies spawn. They get shocked by the pulse, and if you're on your toes, you can quickly mop these up before they can move, and you basically just lock the whole thing down, which is very nice. I was disappointed to find that it doesn't work against Titans, and it doesn't interrupt Impaler tentacles when you land it on the submerged Impaler more, and as expected, tanks and factory striders are not affected. And with that being said, I do think it's a decent utility choice, and I can actually see people enjoying this in some use cases as mentioned above. The ballistic padding armor provides 25% resistance to chest damage, 25% explosive damage, and prevents all bleed damage that is sustained from hemorrhaging. I found this most useful against bots, and I also found this quite useful against squids and terminids. Just don't bother. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.